I'm not too sure I've ever opened a video with a quote before. But here we go. We're opening Britton Covey with a quote. I try to think of myself as pretty self-aware in terms of what my role is. Return man. That will be the main thing I turn to. But I'm looking forward to surprising people in the slot. All right, y'all. Britton Covey. What's up, Eagles Nation? My name is Steven Hyder. This is Gate City Sports Channel. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, we are officially now over 6,100 subscribers, man. Thank you all so much. If you enjoyed today's content, you want to join our community here, the Cerebral Football community. We're heading towards 7,500, guys. I would love to add you to the community. Just need you to subscribe to do that. Small G subscribers here. And I'm going to ask you to do, guys, keep hitting that like button. Keep smashing the thumbs up button. Help me spike the algorithm and get this in front of new people. So, to begin with, Britton Covey, I believe he actually pronounces it Covey. He's the grandson of Stephen Covey. If you guys are wondering, like, yo, that name is, like, really, really oddly familiar. Stephen Covey was an educator, and he also was an author. And you guys might remember him for writing the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I had to read this when I was in college. And I'm going to be honest with you, for some of you guys who know me very well, I know what you're probably thinking to yourself right now. Hey, yo, Gate, how long did it take you to find that book? First off, I'm getting a little uncomfortable with how well y'all know me. Second off, longer than I'd like to admit, but I did find it. If you guys want to actually read the book, I'll link it down below with an affiliate link. You guys know an affiliate link means I get a little taste. Sorry, Britton. I just need a little taste, bro. All right. Today's topic. Hey, look, I want to focus on that last part of Britton Covey's quote, which he said, simply put, but I'm looking forward to surprising people in the slot. I want to talk about that aspect because news broke on Twitter just a couple days ago that, hey, man, he's getting first-team reps. That's something that now, like, you have to talk about, right? Like, I've tried to avoid talking too much about Britton Covey, talking too much about, like, Devin Allen, some, Deion Kane, some of these deeper roster guys, although I really like them. I really think some of these dudes are definitely worth developing and can substitute in for the Eagles and be very effective at doing that and playing that role. But there's a big problem here in Philadelphia in terms of how you construct the roster, which is right now, you got A.J. Brown, who you just paid $100 million to and gave away a first-round pick, to go acquire. You got Devontae Smith, who you just spent a top 10 pick on. You got an emergent player in Quez Watkins, who needs to get time, and reps on the field. You got a guy in Zach Pascal, who's a coach, coach's favorite, and a guy that seems to be a really good locker room dude, a guy with a really great work ethic. And then you got another first-round pick and Jalen Rager. So immediately the conversation already kind of starts off in a very awkward place when we talk about trying to add more guys to the room. It's a difficult proposition because you have to project 6 wide receivers or you already know where I'm going with this. You have to move somebody. We all know who that somebody is. You would have to move somebody in order normally, what I would say, unless you're going to keep 6, someone's got to get moved out. And there are a few candidates here. I mean, to be quite honest, Britton Covey deserves to be talked about today. He's one of the candidates. But just to go over the list of other guys, man, Greg Ward Jr. has just been nothing but solid. He runs great routes. He doesn't have great vertical speed, but he's a really good third down conversion target, dude. I've got nothing but positive things to say about Greg Ward Jr. Is he explosive as a punt returner? No, but he gives you consistency, and you can be safe with him back there doing it, right? Past Greg Ward Jr., you got guys like Deion Kane. Deion Kane has come out and had a really good camp. This is a dude that was really highly thought of by the Colts at one point. This guy was going to make their active 53 before he suffered kind of a really, catastrophic injury that just derailed his time with Indianapolis, and he ended up bouncing around organizations. It looks like he might be healthy again, and he's playing pretty well out there. We got the fast guy, Devin Allen, the Olympic athlete that everybody's been talking about. He's a kick returner, right? I mean, we can argue over the merits of what has more value, punt return or kick return with the new rules in the NFL. Like, most balls are going to be fair called as kick returners, only going to be unless they're, like, specifically trying to target you, trying to make you bring the ball out because they don't believe in your ability to do so. I get it, guys. I understand that argument. I think it's legit. I mean, there's a few dudes on the bottom end of the roster, right? Greg Ward Jr., Deion Kane, Devin Allen, John Hightower. We got all these dudes on there. There's no doubt about it. There's kind of a little under the radar fight here with Britton Covey as well. But when I look at Britton Covey, a couple things kind of emerged to me right from the jump that I think are worth discussing. Which is number one, it's the stature of who he is as a person. He spoke pretty plainly at his pro day about being a little upset that he got left out of the NFL Combine. He felt like other dudes got invites to the Combine that did not have his resume. And he felt like he was a little disrespected there by not getting the invite to the Combine. With that said, simply put, I went to NFL, Draft Buzz. I wanted to see, okay, what is this dude's measurements? And here's the tricky part, guys. I don't know if this is reporting necessarily from his pro day measurements. Is this coming back from like when he was a freshman back in 2015? That's one thing to know about Britton Covey, guys, is he's an older player. This guy is 25 years old as a rookie. I'm not saying that's over the hill. He's still a very young man. But for a rookie, that's a bit older. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a little older than what you're used to here. He measured in at 5'8", 170 pounds. He's a former high school quarterback, like most of us who are under 6 feet tall. If you were a high school quarterback, if you're playing quarterback at that type of level, once you start to transition to D1 ball, unless you're Russ, it's kind of hard to stay in the conversation. It's kind of hard to stay at the quarterback position, guys. I mean, it's drastically changing. Normally 6'2" is kind of the cutoff for most programs, if you will. With that said, there's always outliers, guys. He has 27 3/8 inch arm reach, so this is not a very rangy wingspan type guy. That's not his game. You can tell he's an inside slot guy. Wingspan is only 68 inches. Under 70 inches is a very small wingspan, to be quite honest. But he's 5'8". So, I mean, the numbers. I don't have a split time, guys, and I don't trust it because Covey said that he was clocked at about 4.43. One scout told him he was clocked at 4.43 in the 40. However, officially what I see listed is a 4.5 40. I'm going to tell you right from the jump, guys, I don't care about full 40 times. I just don't. They're widely, misused. A lot of people look to the full 40 time and think that tells you something unique about a player, and it really doesn't. You have to know the splits, and because there's no splits listed for Covey, I don't have a plethora of information to give you about that 40 time. But what I can tell you is 32-inch vertical. This is not a guy who's going up and taking the ball away from somebody, right? The cutoff is about 36 inches. That's what scouts look for. 118-inch broad jump. Decent broad jump, to be quite fair, for a 5'8" guy. I mean, there's some athletic ability here. He ran a 4.09 short shuttle. That's not horrible, but I would look for a guy of his stature, his size, to be under 4. I'm not going to say that was the most impressive time, but it's also a little irrelevant for wide receivers, to be quite honest. What I think speaks volumes about his overall athleticism and why I think he could be quite good in the slot is that 6-7-3 L drill, which is commonly referred to as the 3-cone drill. When you start putting up, number one, you want to be under 7 seconds. But when you start getting below 6.8 in the L drill, you're entering like elite area in terms of your performance. This is this is in the 90 percentile, I guarantee you, of players in the NFL. This is a very, very good L drill, which would tell me he's got some shake. This dude's got some really good agility, which means he's probably more of a short area quickness guy than he is a long speed guy. I would just guess from being a 5'8" guy, it's kind of hard to be a long strider unless you're just like phenomenal. Like, you got to be like a really ridiculously gifted athlete. I know we can think of some examples, guys. There's no doubt of smaller guys. D-Jax is only a couple inches taller than him. D-Jax definitely was a long speed guy that do that short and long speed. You can look at a guy like Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying these dudes don't exist, but generally speaking, I don't think of you as a long strider when you're not even 6 feet. Like, it normally doesn't equate per se. With that said, I think the real question for Covey when he gets to the NFL level is going to be, as I look at this young man, can this dude be a difference maker on my special teams unit? Can this guy is a punt returner and a kick returner? And yes, he has experience as a kick returner. I don't know if you remember this play here when he just absolutely destroyed the entire Ohio State kick coverage team, if you will, as a kickoff returner. But, I believe that was in the Rose Bowl, and, give Covey his due, man. He's athletically gifted, right? And then it's as a punt returner, guys. He knows his calling card. He knows what he's got to do to make the team. But he has talked about, I want to contribute. I want to be kind of in the conversation in the slot as one of the top 4 options for a football team. And to me, the area where you have to see improvement from a 5'8" guy that doesn't necessarily have blazing speed, but has very good short area quickness, when you're small like that and you don't have the arm length and stuff like that, you've got to be able to beat man coverage. It means his release off the line of scrimmage, it leaves no room for error. Okay? And to be fair, it's not like the guy he's competing against is necessarily his strength either. That's not, let's be real, that's not Jalen Reagor's strength. He's not a guy that releases cleanly off the line of scrimmage versus man coverage, especially a jam technique on him. So that's really going to be where Covey, in terms of camp and in terms of preseason, you want to turn heads, you want to elevate yourself above Jalen Reagor, or you want to make the Eagles force themselves in to keeping 6 wide receivers, beat man press. Start showing them that you can beat man press. That, if someone goes down with an injury, this young man is an option in the slot. This guy is definitely a contributor on special teams. That's how you make the club. If you're Britton Covey, that's how you make the club. And I just want to go over a few things about this young man, which is the reason he's 25 and all this, guys. He started, his freshman year was back in 2015 with Utah. But then he took the 2016 and the 2017 seasons off to do kind of missionary work in Chile. So, Chile, I believe is how you say it, with the Latter-day Saints. All right? So he left for a couple of years, came back in 2018, and then kind of finished out his college career over the next 3-4 seasons, if you will. This dude's productive. He set program records in punt return, 1,092 yards for Utah. He ended up having 4 punts returned for a touchdown. He had the punt return. He had the kick return for a touchdown. We know about against Ohio State. He led the Utah Utes in receiving yards in 2015, 2018, and 2020. This young man has been productive. I mean, I'm not questioning his productivity because he's been very, very productive. I'm questioning whether or not the Eagles are, is this a dude you try to develop on the practice squad that you give a few call-ups? Are you just trying to bide your time to put him on the active roster? Like, there's many ways of getting a guy through, right? Like, if they clear waivers, you can protect them on the practice squad. And then you can use them for a couple of call-ups before you basically have to put them on the active roster in order to have them available for game day. So, there's many ways of achieving this. He doesn't have to necessarily be on the active roster to be serviceable to the Eagles. I'm trying to keep that in mind. But I do think that he's starting to kind of make a push here. I mean, for some of you guys that were high on him from day one, hey, man, here you go. You're getting what you were looking for. This dude is making a push to make the roster. All right, y'all, I appreciate y'all so much, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Oh, by the way, we're talking about the bottom end of the roster. We're talking about punt return. I asked you the poll question. You guys that voted Reagor did win the poll question. So you already know what the video is coming up next is. But we're also going to do a video about, Greg Ward Jr. We're going to talk about Deion Kane. I want to talk about the bottom end of the roster guys before, we get into the regular season, because then those dudes aren't going to have as much time to really be talked about. All right, y'all, I appreciate you guys.